and we're going to also discuss about the startup policies in fund management for startups. So I'd like to call upon our first panelist for today, Mr. Brett Stevens. He's the Vice President of Jarvis Accelerator in Gurgaon and the Director of Jarvis Labs in Australia, leading the team to launch new startup ventures in challenging marketplaces. Okay, welcome. We'd now like to invite our second panelist, Mr. Vikash Mukasane, founder, India Business Group and CMD of Nazara Technologies. Welcome, sir. We'd now like to welcome Mr. Abhijit Kumar, the co-founder of AHA Ventures and co-founder of Pronto Infotech. Abhijit is an IIT Mumbai alumni. He was an analyst with Deloitte for 1.5 years, after which he co-founded Pronto Infotech. Abhijit is now the co-founder of AHA Ventures. Welcome, Abhijit. We'd now like to welcome Mr. Zahir Arjanwala. He is the high-tech co-founder and CTO of Keto. Welcome. We'd now like to welcome Mr. Satish Kataria. He's the founder and managing director of Catapult, crowdfunding website. Welcome, sir. The panel discussion will discuss the current scenarios in the entrepreneurship ecosystem and the challenges that startups face with fund management. I'd now like to call upon the moderator for the panel discussion, Dhruv Sera.
Thanks, Ishan. Thank you so much. So, can we have a huge round of applause? It's a startup event now. Thank you so much. So, thank you all of you for being a part of this show. So, as we say, startups still, find it difficult to manage their funds when they start off. So before that, I would like all of you to just introduce yourself, give us 2 minutes, to talk about yourself and your venture and thoughts on the entrepreneurship. Yeah. Vikas sir, yeah.
Hi everybody, thank you for having me here. If you want an entrepreneur story, I'll give you one in short. So I started 40 years back. I went bankrupt twice, so don't bother and don't worry. It was in those days when we had to pay back the bank loans. And that's when I went bankrupt. Now we don't have to do that. You have to just write with your investor. So just go ahead and do it. And now after 40 years of experience in business, I'm taking a slight back seat in the business. I attend to it only half the day. I want to go back to my entrepreneurial roots, and that's through you people. I'm learning and meeting young entrepreneurs. I just want to be back into my school and college days. Thank you.
I have a similar sentiment. I find working with young people makes me feel younger, and we're both similar age. So I think we've had an experience in our career that we want to contribute back to young people and help them. So my career is as an IT engineer for almost 40 years. I'm married to an entrepreneur who keeps allowing me to fund her businesses for her, which have been reasonably successful, so I've done okay. I haven't gone bankrupt yet, which is great. That's a great learning experience. It's probably a bit too late to do that now. I'm the Vice President of Jarvis Accelerator based out of Delhi. We are funded out of Singapore by a small fund that allows us to invest in early stage startups. We currently have 16 startups in our portfolio, and we invest in probably up to 20 every 4 months. We run a 4-month accelerator program. We do look for really early stage, can be even idea stage before people have a product, but we also take early stage products, but we also invest in some kind of obscure businesses that are taking their business, say, offline to online. We're investing in a waste management company at the moment that has an existing offline business. They're wanting to move it online, so we're helping them with that. So we invest in education, healthcare, financial technology, social enterprises and social gathering websites and things like that. And we run a 4-month mentoring-based program that helps early-stage startups obtain funding. So hopefully I can give you some insights today on where I think the challenges are for early-stage startups in particular. Thank you.
introduction, passed out it from IIT 03, started my own tech company 06. It's called Pronto Infotech still, and 50 plus employees. That's my bread and butter. I do it on weekdays. Our ventures, we started in 09, looking to start as a fund, didn't work out. Changed it into an investor network in 012, 11. Now we are 750, close to 750 investors, invested close to 11 million in 21 startups. I invest up to $1 million. So I would love to look at some of the guys who are trying to, and because this year we are trying to invest in close to 30 or 40 startups. And both are my investee companies, by the way.
Oh yeah, Catapult and Keto.
Every time I get stuck.
Thanks, Abhijit. Hi guys, I'm Satish Kataria, I'm founder of Catapult, which is a crowdfunding platform. Just to give you a brief introduction, I started my career way back about 15 years back. Started with marketing and PR, got saturated with it. Moved on to financial services, worked with 2 VC funds, and then the whole bug of crowdfunding hit me in 2010 when I launched the whole concept of crowdfunding in India for the very first time. Again, it was a very new concept, so we couldn't do much with it. So took a back seat for next 2 years, and then restarted it as Catapult in 2013. So I think the only thing which drives me to do it is I'm just trying to figure out, the whole equation where I believe that more and more Indians can also join this whole part of growing innovation and discovering innovation, and that is what we're trying to do at Catapult. So while on one hand we have a strong emerging investors network which is really supporting the entrepreneurs network, but what I really want is that we should go beyond that investors network and try to even involve Indians and more people to support entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Hi Satish, I'm Zahir. My journey actually started 12 years back at Father Animal College. I graduated from there in engineering. Since then, I've worked in different technical roles all over the place, and about 4 years back is when we decided that we wanted to start a crowdfunding platform simply because of the fact that we wanted more and more Indians to give back. If you take nationalities all over the world, India is one of the countries which actually gives back a lot, but it is completely unstructured, it's completely disorganized, and it's done in a very chaotic manner. So what we strongly believe at Keto and what our vision is that we want to make the whole giving back ecosystem very well regulated and managed. Thank you.
Thanks, Zahir. Thank you so much. So we have a very successful businessman, 3 investors in short, 2 acts. One, Catapult is a crowdfunding platform. In fact, Keto is also a crowdfunding platform. So they are 2 competitors, I would say. Zahir, Satish. Small industry, yeah. So to start with, the panel discussion. So first point I would like to so these are the questions which I'm asking is from the audience, from all the startups in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Bangalore. We have just accumulated few and just I will ask 4 to 5 questions to you, and then we'll move on to the audience. So first is, conserving money is important. So if you agree to some extent, would like to have thoughts on that. Yes, please. Yeah.
So this is again in reference to what Ms. Shweta had said earlier. Out of the 3 founders, 2 of us are Gujaratis.
Yeah.
So saving money comes naturally. We were taught since we were kids that in Gujarati we have a saying that says "Tipe tipe sarovar." That means you build an ocean with droplets, and that is something that we've really taken care at Keto. And to be honest, there are so many failure stories already existing. Zomato being one of the latest ones.
Food Panda.
Tiny Owl. Yeah, so these guys end up raising crazy amounts of money. And then when you have so much money in the bank, the next question that you ask yourself is, how do I spend it, right? Also investors. There's a lot of pressure from investors at all points saying, hey, you have money lying in the bank, that's opportunity cost lost. But little do they know that this kind of pressure sometimes makes founders or senior management in startups take the wrong decisions and put money in areas that they are not really convinced about. So something that we've learned through our journey, which is not very extensive, however, has been spending money is very important, and money in the bank is probably is opportunity lost. However, finding the right things to do that surely are going to bring you some ROI is something that's more important. Satish.
I think I totally agree with Vijay out here. And obviously, it's ultimately it's the cash that you have control on, which then defines your runway, right? And which then defines your whole negotiation strength with anyone else, with any of your stakeholders. So conserving cash is obviously critical. Understanding that what is the expected ROI that you will get on your spends is again critical. But then, having said that, I would not. I will proudly confess that yes, even as an entrepreneur, even having worked for 15 years in this space, we have made our own mistakes. We have learned the lessons in a hard way. But I think that's part of the journey, and that's again a whole experience that an entrepreneur goes through. However, obviously, it is more sane to learn from others' experiences and other mistakes than to make your own, right? So yes, I totally agree that you have to be very careful on how do you invest your money and your time, which is even more critical than money, into doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah, Abhijit, do you want to say something? Yeah.
So both of my ventures are self-funded, so I am not under pressure by investors. But talking to investors' point of view, if I invest in a company, a crore type, or investors invest, it's not a celebrity entrepreneurship anymore. Entrepreneurs have a very tough life. They will make you withdraw maybe 20, 30 grand a month, which you can just survive. You can't withdraw 1 lakh out of 1 crore, right? It doesn't work like that. If you raise 4 to 5 crore, then you can think of withdrawing 1 lakh. So I have a simple advice. Cash is the crux of all. Don't go for these high-rated stories. These are not worth following. You figure out a way to make a business profitable. Don't go behind housing or tiny houses. They're not sustainable business model. To figure out a sustainable business, you have to make money. Simple.
Yeah. Brett.
Take this one, mate. Yeah, I agree with everything that's already been said. I think one of the biggest challenges for any startup is having too much money, and it leads to bad practices, it leads to waste. So we always control the cash flow when we are funding companies with cash. We set really quite difficult KPIs for them, and we also get them to plan what they want to use the money for, and then probably on a monthly basis we ask them to prove that that's what they've spent the money on and what the results were. As you say, you have to have a sustainable business. If you keep throwing money at marketing, for example, with no return, if you're not acquiring customers, or if you're spending too much acquiring customers, you have to change that somehow. It's not good practice to just keep spending money after money after money. So I've got a few edicts. I don't like startups having money in the bank. I think that's just a really dangerous thing. So if they've got money in the bank, you have to figure out what you're going to do with it. There's no point having it in the bank. So set some goals for what you're going to achieve with the money, and don't ask for more money than you need. Often founders come to me and say, I need 100 crore. Okay, you're not going to get that from me, you're probably not going to get it from many investors in one go. What do you actually need for the next 3 months? What do you need for the next 6 months? That's the kind of objective you need to have for your business plan. Otherwise, you find that 6 months from now you've spent more money than you planned to, and the investor's getting upset and you're getting no return for them. So take a small amount of money and use it wisely, and plan it and measure it, and look for where you're going to invest your money in your own business to return something back to your investors, because it's their money you're spending, it's not yours, unless you're bootstrapping. And even then, if you're bootstrapping, think about where you're wisely spending your own money as well.
Being an old man who has more years behind me than ahead of me, I tend to hark behind to my own experiences on these things. And I am completely convinced that a startup or any company has to bootstrap regardless of whatever money you have in your bank. You don't really need to spend the big bucks. You have to just be, you have to be just smart, intelligent, and only spend that much as absolutely required for the job at hand. Don't just blow up the money because it is there, like somebody just said here too. So again, as I said, going back into my own history, the second time I went bankrupt was 48. That's when I got my first heart attack. I've had 3 till now, but I told God, come on, hold back, man. I still have some more unfinished work to do. So I always say that go forward, do it. Don't worry about bankruptcy, but bootstrap your business. I think that's the answer we're looking for.
So, thank you, sir. So, as we have 80% students sitting here, so any one of you can just tell how, in a few, just picking up few elements, how to manage funds when you are raising money from the external sources, from investors. Just pick up few elements, just tell them these are the areas you should focus upon.
Okay, I heard a really interesting thing the other day. I always used to ask early stage founders where they're getting the money, and they used to say family and friends, the 2 F's. So now apparently there's a third F, family, friends and fools.
Yeah.
So when you're bootstrapping your business, you are relying on somebody to trust you with something that's just a nascent idea that it may not work. And the statistics are that I think about 2% of startups actually succeed according to the original plan. Some founders are able to pivot and keep success going, but the bottom line is that 99% or 98% of startups will probably fail and lose money. So if you're taking money from your family and your friends, and maybe it's the fools as well, you have to be very careful that you're not creating a situation where you lose your good friends or you create a conflict with your family. So the worst thing you can do is let them see you wasting money and then criticize you later for it. If they see you're trying really hard and being very vigilant about your expense management and other things, then if the startup fails, you've done all you can to make it successful, and you need to be able to say to them, we tried, maybe we'll try again. I think the thing that I think most about is, if it was my money, what would I spend it on? And even if you're taking someone's money, your family or a friend's money, treat it as your own money. And if you're really convinced that it's going to be a good thing to spend money on, then do it. And I agree with you, as you said, keep moving forward. Don't have doubts about what you're doing. You know, there should be no plan B for an entrepreneur. They should be using their focus, their laser focus to achieve what they want to achieve. But don't do it haphazardly. Don't waste money. Use it very wisely, and be confident that at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you stand up and you say to your family and friends who funded you, we had a good week, we tried this, yes, we maybe wasted a little bit of money there, but we are moving forward and we are creating the business. And that's what you need to keep focused on.
Thank you, Brett. So you want to say something? Yeah, Satish, yeah.
One thing which I would just like to add is that ultimately it's what also becomes critical is the measuring. The other thing which becomes critical is how do you measure your growth, or how do you measure your journey, right? That's and measuring and analytics and kind of keeping a very tight record of metrics of where is the money going, how are you progressing with respect to the milestones that you have set up for yourself, and being open to share that information with your potential investors. I think that's a very good way of managing those funds. And kind of keeping a control and also keeping everyone informed that this is how things are going on ahead, so that even if you are missing something, at least your investors can come and pinpoint that, okay boss, this is where you need to do a corrective action, right? So I think that also helps and should be remembered as a way to manage those funds in a better way.
So thanks Satish. So as when we talk about pressure, so as Zahir also mentioned, there's a pressure behind all entrepreneurs who have taken money from outside. So VCs want their portfolio companies to grow fast. Obviously, it's a sign of excess growth. But don't you think this pressure will lead to a mismanagement of the funds? So if there is, then how the entrepreneur should deal with all these situations?
So yeah, you got that right. And again, thinking from an investor perspective, as Abhijit would know really well. So you had a business plan. You wanted, say, $100,000, and you knew exactly why you wanted $100,000, and you had a burn rate of certain amount which was going to be spending. Now, you've tried your hand at certain avenues, and unfortunately they didn't work for you.
Right.
So it's better to cut your losses there and say, okay, fine, till I figure out what else can I do with that money when money is lying in the bank. However, from an investor's perspective, there is something seriously wrong with this guy because this guy doesn't know how to spend money. And if this guy is not spending money, that means he has no growth opportunities. So it's a very, how do I put it? It's a very chicken and egg, yeah. It's a very catch-22 situation, wherein I think Satish also got that point really right. Is how do you keep your investors in the loop at all points, and how do you discuss every happening in your company with your investors? Because at the end of the day, the goal is common, right? Everyone wants to be at one place. So it's only fair, and it's great for the company itself if the vision, the strategy, and the working process is all aligned.
Yeah, Vijit. Yeah.
Quickly give you a very opposite suggestion. Investors and mentors are two different people. Don't listen to investors ever. Right? Listen to mentors. Your investors are not your mentors. I am an investor, right? I tell my startup not to listen to investors. You should have in a team somebody who can politely say that, sir, you are right, but I know what I am doing. Money in the bank, investors will tell you to start investing, because they want FD may interest is coming 8%, rather you do something, otherwise I am taking the money back. But once you expand, the revenue is not going to be at the same rate, right, as you are expanding. It's a simple mathematics. It can never happen. They will tell you to cut down. Once you cut down, your market brand value goes up. So you have to figure out a way to say no to investors and utilize, as Jatir and Satish said, and utilize that money in some other innovative way which can return you more money. Put it in the FD or do whatever. But don't just open 10 offices and 20 offices and suddenly one of my IM guys, he suddenly became from one office to 20 offices. IM guys, by the time they expanded to 20, they didn't even know that how much cash is needed for the company to run for 1 month. By the time they shut down, the main founders didn't even know that we didn't have salary for the last month. So most of the 98% which Fred mentioned land up into that situation. Please don't land up. Figure out a way to talk to investors.
Can I ask you, as an investor, how much information you expect back from your startups on a monthly basis? Do you try and track them monthly, or do you do it less often?
I am the most risky investor actually, so I don't go on my words, but a one-page monthly update has to come to all the investors, or I always push the startups that if you want some help, because most of the time startups are shy, I am sitting on a network of 8,000 to 10,000, including entrepreneurs or miscellaneous or whatever. I push them that please send me something which I can distribute and which can help you. So updates are important, but not the financial one. The margin should always grow. And discounting is I am like 200% against. None of my startups I support discounting, because you can't win customers by discounting.
So what's your take on all those startups, e-commerce startups, which heavily discounted, whether it's food tech or it's already gone down, yeah.
Okay, there is no food tech in food tech.
Exactly.
It's only delivery.
It's a listing, yeah.
So forget about all these big stories.
Yeah.
Those are not worth following. I am IIT Bombay. I know what's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So please follow some better stories. Do better stories, or
exactly.
So forget about unicorns.
Thanks, Abhijit. So there's one more. Thank you. So talk about money. If we are making a good product out of it, talk about money being spent on marketing, branding instead of the quality of product. So I want to ask, what's your take on that? Why people spend so much millions in marketing and branding, but product is very basic and usual. So,
I don't think you should spend much money on product at all. I think you should spend money on talent.
Exactly.
Because talent will make a difference
Yeah.
to your business more than product.
Mhm.
Anybody who thinks that a fantastic technical innovation is going to capture market share is absolutely wrong. What captures market share is good people and
Mhm.
good strategies. So you need to spend money on talent acquisition, you need to spend some money on marketing, but you don't want to waste money on marketing. You want to be very careful. I worked for and I launched a startup in Australia, and one of the guys in the business wanted to invest $1 million on a television campaign for a company that was 3 months old. And I let him go from the company because he was showing me that he had no concept of how a startup needs to run. You go out and you find a growth hack that costs you 10 rupees, not 100,000 rupees. You take a proposal from somebody who's offered you a marketing solution, and you find the gems in there and you do it for free. You don't waste money on marketing. You spend money on talent. You spend a little bit on product, but don't get bogged down into the product development cycle, trying to improve it and make it 100% right. It will never be right. There are companies like Microsoft who, as you know, never get their products right. They still sell them. So if they've learned that lesson, why shouldn't we take that lesson and say, you know, if Windows worked, we wouldn't have Windows 10 now, we'd have Windows 1. It would have just kept evolving. So look for good talent, build your team, build your business development function, but don't spend money on silly advertising campaigns and other marketing. You know, look for ways of hacking into a growth market without spending cash, and spend as much as you need to on product, but not 1 rupee more.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add on to this?
I think we'll move on to something other than money. I think people are getting bored here. But the final say on this is that most companies who have been funded are just spending money to outdo the other guy. They justify it saying that they're acquiring customers, but these customers and consumers are just transient. They're there as long as you're spending money and you're giving discounts. The moment you stop doing that, that complete portfolio of customer is gone. So what was the use in the first place? So be very careful. Your product focus has to be the most. The maximum spend must go, as he said, talent and the product. You need a product which a consumer wants and needs. You won't need to spend all those big bucks there.
So, as India is ranked 14th when it comes to startup ecosystem, and it has grown 40% since 1 year, from past 1 year. So, can you just talk about the key drivers in like one word, like what are the key drivers to make this ecosystem established one? Anyone? Key drivers to just for the growth of startup ecosystem. What key drivers will help? Any key drivers?
I'll say it in one word, but I'll try to say it in a few words.
You can say as many as you can.
No, the key drivers are already in place. The government is behind you. The entrepreneurial talent is emerging beyond the IITs. The entrepreneurial zeal is now across the board. It's only going to grow. Every graduate now, and I've written this earlier in one of my articles, and it was even spoken today, that don't go out for a job after you finish your college. Create a company, start a company, create a job. When you go for a job, and maybe moving away a bit, when you go for a job, you're taking away somebody else's job. You start a company, you're giving a job, besides gaining one job yourself. So these are the basic things around which we're going to see a huge ramp up in the next 3 to 4 years in the startup environment in this country. It's something that the world has never seen before. So with everybody now on the same page, including the government, and also the parents now, I'm sure, that they also want you to become a startup. So let's go for it.
It's a really good point that there are only a couple of times in your life when you can actually take a risk like that. And one of it is before you get married, before you've got all the mortgage and the commitment and the family and the children and everything. So if you have an idea and you have a passion, then follow it. And if it doesn't work, you can always go and find the job later. So, there's a thing in Australia where I'm from where kids leave uni and they take what they call a gap year where they travel. They usually travel the world backpacking or something. instead of backpacking around the world, take a gap year and find something that you're passionate about and come up with a problem in that area and a solution for it and just try it. Because if after the first year it hasn't worked, you can always go back and find a job in the MNC. The job will still be there.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah.
Picking on the point of the video, please don't go by the brands. Doesn't work. I have 11 companies out of IITs whom I funded out of 21, but 10 are also and my best performing are mixed. There's no concept like IIT IIMs. IIMs I don't like because their entrepreneurial quality is not that good. IITs are better than IIMs. Engineering. So please, get away from this mentality that only brands work in entrepreneurship. And we get like close to 400, 500 every month, right? So we are talking real numbers. So if I am saying you something, that means please start up. This is the right time.
Yeah, Satish.
I think one thing that I would like to suggest is go for disruption. Right? Do not follow just because something is very popular in international markets. Do not try to copy. Do not try to be copycats. Do not try to say that just because one kind of e-commerce platforms are getting funding, I should just do something similar on those lines. I think the example is very clear in front of us. There are almost 350 clones in this food tech, food delivery startup, right? And all of them will eventually, just burn out. So whenever you're trying to do something, go for disruption. Just believe in yourself. Have the conviction that if I have some innovative idea or innovative method to kind of do things differently, you should just follow that. I think everything else will fall in line. So go for something which is unique. Go for something which you truly believe in, and I think that will help the whole thing out.
Thanks, Satish. Yeah, Sahil.
So yeah, while I agree with everyone's point, the only other thing that I believe is I don't think entrepreneurship should be looked at from a career option it's not a career choice that you make. It's more of a lifestyle that you live. Let's take Gagan's example there. He is working and he has a startup. So it doesn't really matter if you are working under someone else or you're working for yourself. Entrepreneurship is more of a lifestyle where it's about a thinking. It's how you are thinking of how do I want to make a difference to something that is not actually currently happening. And that's where disruption comes out of. So yeah, kudos to you, man.
Thanks, Sahil.
The only thing I'd say to challenge that is that as an investor, I won't invest in someone who's not committed to their startup. So someone who has a job and a startup, unless they work 24 hours a day and can show me that they're actually putting in the effort, I don't want to be involved in that business. I've got a couple of startups in my portfolio where the founders aren't 100% committed, and every day I say to them, you have to stop doing what you're doing and be 100% committed to your startup because I am. If you're not, why am I investing in you?
So I'm sorry I didn't explain myself better there. However, what I meant to say was, people have restrictions. It's easier said than done that don't take a job and why don't you build your own company? But people have financial issues. People have a million issues. However, the entrepreneurship seed is something that grows in your head, and so maybe he is servicing his financial needs via doing a daytime job. However, servicing his aspirations by doing a startup, and then the day he believes, with his conviction that this is now ready to go to market, is the day he says, okay, you know what, I quit my job and this is what I'm going to take up full time now.
I totally agree. And my comment earlier was there should be no plan B for an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur and you really are passionate about what you're doing, dive in. And I know we all have commitments. We have to pay the rent and we have to put food on the table. And I've seen some young kids bootstrap a business for next to nothing. The real advantage you have here in India is you can live very, very low cost. And maybe Mumbai is an expensive city, Delhi is expensive as well. But compared to other cities in the world, it's ridiculously cheap. You cannot bootstrap a business in Australia because it's so expensive to live there and eat there and everything. So take advantage of what you have here as a local condition. But if you're passionate about what you want to do, then you have to make that break from the safety net of having a job at some point and go, all right, I'm going to put 100% effort into this and I'm going to find a co-founder and a team of people to help me and we're going to go for it. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful, I can tell you to that.
Yeah.
One of the key drivers that I missed in the entrepreneurial journey and the startup environment are people like Abhijit. find them out. They are the key drivers of this whole thing. Himself, here, they are making this world turn round. They say money, money, money makes the world go round. These are the guys who's making the world go round.
Thank you, sir.
I'm always
He's always there. There you have the answer.
Hey, don't be fooled. We're always on the lookout for good ideas. So everybody who comes and talks to me here today, I will look at your idea because I'm still looking for that 20 good ideas every 4 months to put my money into, and I'm sure Abhijit's looking for it as well.
Boss, if you have got good idea, don't worry about coming in the news. That's my idea. Get me something good.
I would like to add on this. So 2 months back, Nikesh Arora was there in Bangalore. So somebody asked him how to reach out to you. So he just simply said, if you have a good idea, I'll reach out to you. It's that simple. So yeah. So coming on the sector focus, so majorly startups bringing innovations in sectors like e-com, consumer services. So can you just talk about the unexplored areas where startups can exploit those opportunities as well, where innovation can be done, which is not happening in India or something? Do you have any sectors which are unexplored yet?
I have 2 sectors I'm chasing at the moment. So
Yes,
and I spoke to someone earlier here today who's got an agri-tech solution. I'll be back there. So the sectors I want to put some money into this year are agriculture and education. I've already have a couple of startups in education. And I'm really basing that on the need in India. So agriculture is a huge part of the Indian economy. Education is also a huge part of the Indian economy and the Indian psyche in some ways. So there are 2 areas that I know if I invest money, I should get a return. Not all of them are going to succeed, but we'll spread our portfolio. I think the other one that coming from a very advanced financial market in Australia, the fintech startups in India have a great future, I think. And I'm looking for fintech startups that will be successful in India, but also be able to take offshore. And the 4th one, I've got 4 this year, is healthcare. I think, again, healthcare is a major opportunity for everybody here in India, and that's another area I'm looking at very, very closely.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah. So,
Just to move away a bit, I'm very happy to see so many young budding entrepreneurs. I just want to know, are you all wanting to become entrepreneurs, or just come and sat in to? How many people here? And especially, I want more women entrepreneurs in this country. Because they are the real drivers of this country. How many of the women here, the girls here, looking towards the entrepreneurship, actually? And not just getting married. Don't get married too early. Don't get married before 30. India is a traditional country where the parents want 21 ki ho gayi. Ab kya karenge? My daughter was different. Again, just to give you an example. She just decided one day she wants to go to LSE for finance. I said, you're only 24. I have to get you married. I was supposed to get you married at 21. She got married at 31, finally found her own boy. So don't get married, get into work, maybe do a 2-year job first for experience, and then get into an entrepreneurship role, but become an entrepreneur.
thank you, sir. That was a great advice to all of you.
Because you're a tough trouble for all the parents. Yeah, I'm telling you. Luckily the parents are not here. Anyway, the sectors which I am personally interested in, I love high tech, not the online tech or mobile tech. High tech, like real hardware stuff.
Something
And, products.
robotics.
All.
Right,
It's
yeah.
drones, machines,
Drones, yeah.
which I look for, and I hardly find startups in that domain, but we have funded a few. Transportation tech, which I am looking for, is the maybe next thing in India, and then healthcare, as I said, fintech we have already done one. Fintech is always more than happy. We'll do maybe 2-3 more. It's a good opportunity space. But these are the. I'm a tech guy. I don't. I would not touch e-commerce at least for the next 1-2 years. It's not anymore a innovation game.
Thanks, Abhijit. So we are open for questions. So yes.
Hi, it's afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bhavesh Kothari. I actually co-run a company called The Entrepreneurs. So we basically are, assisting startups in mentoring them. we have around 7 to 8 clients whom we are closely working with, and consciously we have chosen clients which are not into the non-tech or the B2C segment. While discussions with a lot of investors, we've actually had support from Cato and Catapult as well. We figured out that most of the investors are not really willing to put their risk or money in long-term ventures. So when I say long-term ventures, we have a robotics company which is actually creating a driverless technology car. So they are actually, competing with the Google and the Tesla. Okay, and when we start talking to investors, they say that look, we don't want to get into the B2B segment. So I would seek your inputs, especially from Brett and Satish. What do you think? Why is this? Isn't it a demotivator for entrepreneurs? In the first place when they actually venture and they say, hey, look, this is the segment which I want to build, but there are no takers to support this because of the long investment cycles.
Anyone like?
I love IoT. I'm a real IoT geek, and I look for that high-tech stuff as well. So we've got an early stage investment in a drone robotics company in Delhi as well, which I can't talk about, but I'll talk to Abhijit at some point. The challenge with any hardware-based investment is that it's a very long-term development cycle, and it's very risky. So if I invest in a hardware-based product, I bump up my risk rating much higher, so I'm expecting a lot more equity for the same amount of involvement. Because it takes longer and things go wrong. And we can say that because we've got our own IoT product that we've developed as part of a Jarvis venture, and it's taken us twice as long and cost twice as much as what we anticipate. When you look at something like a driverless car, you're competing against Apple and Google and Tesla and companies that have extremely deep pockets and very smart people. It would surprise me if somebody sitting in India has the know-all to be able to do this on a global scale. What you might find is that they could create a driverless car for India, which might be a really good value proposition. But I agree, it's very difficult to find an investor who's got that long vision. Now, as an investor, we look at sort of 3 to 4 years. A driverless car project is a 10, 20, 30-year deal. So you have to look for a different type of investor. And the investors that invest in early stage tech startups probably wouldn't be interested in a driverless car, but there may be people out there, like Ratan Tata, for example, who might say that could be the future of Tata Motors. So you've got to link the investor with their core businesses and their strengths and the money to something that's longer term. But don't go to a VC fund looking for money because they're probably not interested. They've got so many other options that they're not going to take the added risk there. So that's probably what I would see. But, I'm not saying that you won't find one, but they're much rarer to find that kind of fund.
I totally do what other investors do, right? So I have 4 B2B companies in my portfolio. One pretty hardcore hardware company which is called Entropy, IIT Bombay guys, they make auto bike washing machine. Yeah. It took me 6 months to get them funded, but Mark Mobius invested in that. I couldn't get them funded from Indian investors. It was not possible. I would love to get this startup funded if they have really a good product. Mm-hmm. Now Entropy is going in Southeast Asian, they've already expanded into Vietnam. I love B2B as B2C. There is no difference as such. B2B gives you faster exit. So that's a plus point. But normal investors don't like B2B. That's the reality. What can you do?
Anyone else? Yes. Yes, I'll take that. Yeah, the third row. Yeah, third row. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm just working in one company, and I'm basically from not IIT and but yeah, I started my own startup as well, just few months back, 3-4 months back. And for that, what I was thinking, the people invest on one idea, they can put the money and earn, and they just take their cuts and go back. What I'm thinking, my focus is for 5-year strategy, because it's my opinion. I just made one opinion, started one company, and then thinking to reinvest in the other startup. Fine. But not the other idea that other people is coming to me. That was my own ideas. What I am focusing is start one but with small investment, then again reinvest it, make another investment for the big one, then again reinvest for another big one. So my focus is to go on growth and grow up, not to invest a bigger amount on one startup. Fine. So I'm looking for a very small amount, not for big one, and just to grow up in next 5 year strategy. Fine. Ideas are like right now I've just started my own apparel brand, online apparel brand, and that was listed on all e-commerce platforms. Fine. For later on, there was a strategy to come up with that offline sales as well. But we'll pitch up later on. That's not long. And I'll just add on one thing. You are focusing on the people who are not married. They can focus on the work more. But yeah, I just got married around 1.5 years back. My wife and me both are working, and we both are investing our money in my startup. Right? So collectively, both they can start as well and they can grow as well. This is all I can add.
Thank you.
So we'll.
There wasn't really a question there, but you know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get married before you become an entrepreneur. If you can marry another entrepreneur, then you've got a team of two already. You've got a co-founder, so that's a great thing. What you're doing is what most investors do. They start off with one investment and they leverage that into multiple investments, and they look for funds where they can spread their investment across say 10, 20, 30 startups instead of just taking a bet on one. So it's a smart strategy. It's what the smart investors do. But by all means, don't let us stop you from getting married. But marry another entrepreneur. Marry someone who can be your partner in business as well as your partner in life. And it's worked out for me. My wife's dragged me kicking and screaming into a couple of investments which have been okay, which I would never have done on my own. I'm risk averse. She's the risky one. I'm just the funder. I'm the investor, and she's the hard worker.
Yes, sir, I want to say.
I didn't mean to say never get married or that married people don't make for good entrepreneurs. They do. Because I'm speaking to a whole crowd of unmarried girls and boys. That's why that thing came out. In fact, I have been pushing 2-3 different ideas of age groups. I personally think that though everything startup is college grads, it's not really. Even I'm moving towards telling people that at 35 to 45 age group, go out with your experience, with the little money that you earn, go into a startup. You have a different set of experiences, and the investors will be looking at you in a different way, that you're not going to make too many mistakes because you've worked in a company. In fact, to the extent I'm even saying now that when you retire, the retirement age is 55, 60, something like that. That's too young, of course, But at the age of 55, you have a great opportunity to become an entrepreneur. Why not? I mean, you've seen the whole entrepreneurial journey yourself at second hand. Do it now. You have again great investors are going to look at you also. Because of your maturity, because of your ideas, you've seen what works in the real world. Yes, so there are opportunities at every age. And of course, a couple doing the same thing together is great if you don't just fight over it over breakfast and dinner. Otherwise, you're great.
Thank you, sir. Yes, we'll take a last question now. And can we give him a chance? We already got a chance, yeah. Yes, second row. Okay. If you have, yeah, please.
Hello, I'm Shubham. First of all, I got a question. I'm just in the first year of engineering, and as my parents told me, I told them about my idea of startup. So they were like, first complete your studies and then go for the startup. Like if you can have that backup. But as Satish sir told that today is the right time to go for it. And in the past I had a good idea, but I didn't do anything about it. And recently someone did the same thing and got quite successful. So I got that itch that again I have got some idea. I did some research, and I'm 92% sure that no one else is doing that. Okay, never mind. So I'm sure that, so I'm just again having that itch that I have to start it right now. So what will you suggest? I know three of them are investors, and I guess I'm just looking for a suggestion if you can guide me.
Yeah, these guys do a lot of stuff on those lines.
Yeah, I think you should start the day you get an idea. And another thing is, if you're not failing, you're not doing something right, or maybe not trying. So, failure is very underrated. I think everyone should fail. Unless you fail, you don't learn. And believe me, you only learn when you fail, because when things are going right, everything looks good. And the learning is not as high as when you fail. So, yeah, if you have an idea, yes, today, maybe yesterday was the day to do it. So it's that dynamic, this environment that we're living in, and with the platform that these guys are providing you with today, what's stopping you to at least go and bounce your ideas off your mentors over here in school and the ESL?
I think most of the global successful ideas have been started when their founders were still in college. Right? So you do not need any more example other than that. And that should be sufficient inspiration for you to just get started. I mean, I think, and that's what I'm saying. I think you do not need. See, eventually, I think when you're still in college, you really have so much of time and bandwidth that you can really put a lot of effort into your idea, because you have your friends, your family, your fools who can put in some money. You have a lot of time with you to kind of take those risks, because at the college time is somewhere where you do not have that much of academic pressures as well. Only when the year is ending you have those academic pressures. But otherwise, you have more than free to pursue your dreams. You have so many friends who you can reach out to and thank again. As Dahil said, that today there are so many platforms. The ecosystem has evolved so much that people are more than happy to help you out, to reach out to you and listen out to you, and kind of give their support. So I think this is the right time to start whatever you think. If you have a conviction, I think nothing can stop you.
Thank you, Satish. So we will stop here. We're running short of time. You can take it offline. These guys are here, I guess, post lunch also. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So thank you so much. So can we have a huge round of applause, please? So yes, sir.
You can't ask for a better audience. I didn't see a single person getting up and leave.
Yes, that's really super. Yeah. So I would request our team to come and present mementos one by one. So Mr. Vikas Mittasen, founder India Business Group. Mr. Brett Stevens, Vice President Jarvis, our accelerator. Mr. Abhijit Kumar, co-founder of Ventures. Mr. Satish Kataria, founder of Catapult. And CTO of Keto, one of the crowdfunding platforms we have. So thank you. So we are providing a lunch that side on the terrace. And it's a beautiful view, and you can have a lunch there. Though it's sunny day, but yeah. Yeah. So 2 o'clock. I mean, you have 1 hour, 45 minutes. 2 o'clock we'll be starting with Mumbai Global Pitch. We have 13 startups, out of which 10 would be mature startups would be presenting their ideas in front of you, and we have judges along with us, and they're gonna do some gadget stuff. And we have some 3 ideas from the students community, and we'll be putting them on stage, talking about their ideas, what do they think, and what these guys are expecting from all the mentors and ecosystem players in the market. So it will start by 2 o'clock. It's till 2 to 4, right? Yeah. 2 to 4. So please have lunch, and we'll see you at 2, same place. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you, for the panelists. Thank you so much.